Tonight, I'm going to be drafting a $500 fantasy football team, and I'm going to be getting in a regular redraft mock draft at the very end on flockfantasy.com. But until then, we are going to have to wait for this $500 draft to fill. There are currently 3 spots open in that one. You can go ahead and you can see that right here. We are hopefully going to see this fill within the next 30 or so minutes. I'm going to be in a Best Ball Mania draft while we wait, just in case you don't know what Best Ball Mania is. Largest tournament on Underdog, $25 buy-in, $15 million prize pool, $2 million to first place. The highest I've ever gotten in this tournament is 16th. I've had 2 teams get to the finals in this tournament. How you get a team to the finals will be you are the top 2 in your 12-team draft in total points scored in weeks 1 through 14. In week 15, you'll advance to the Fantasy Football Playoff Tournament, where you'll have to go up against 12 other people. If you beat them, then you advance to week 16, where you have to go up against 15 other people. If you beat them, you advance to week 17, where you go up against 538 other people. And if you beat them, you turn $25 into $2 million. Now, sadly, I didn't beat all of them. I only got 16th place. So we did not win millions on Underdog. Trust me, once I do that, you will hear it in every single video from now until the end of time. But until then, I can't be annoying all the way to level 10. So let's take Bijan Robinson here at pick 2. And honestly, we may not even be able to finish this draft because that $500 draft is filling quickly. I can see on the other little monitor there that there are only 2 spots open in that $500 one. So it's going to happen. But thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming and hanging out with us. Really do appreciate y'all. And it's going to be a good night. It's going to be a good night. And yes, if y'all did not know, there is a current tournament on Underdog that is the Flock Community Contest. I have already drafted all 3 of my teams in the Flock Community Contest, so I'm not going to be able to do any more tonight. Highly encourage you to draft in that tournament. That is arguably my favorite structure. There are 2 really popular tournaments at the moment. There's one, the Flock Community Contest, that dropped yesterday. There are going to be Flock Community Contest every Sunday, Tuesday, and Friday night until the season starts. And there's also the $3 Pomeranian that dropped yesterday. And there have already been 49,000 teams drafted in that tournament, which is wild. But definitely don't get in a $500 draft if you're new to Underdog. Definitely get in like the Flock tournament or get in one of those $3 Pomeranians. Okay. So let's move this down. The Walk on 373 says there's also a new MGM tournament. Yeah, that is a massive tournament as well. So there is another $5 tournament on Underdog too. Dear God. But after we take Bijan, you have Jefferson, Lamb, Barkley, Gibbs, CMC, Nico, Puka, Malik Neighbors. So doesn't look like anything's really off in this draft. Like it seems pretty standard, seems very straightforward. I actually did a Yahoo mock draft earlier today just for a video. And in that, we saw that those drafts are going to be super, super easy for you to dominate. But actually, it looks like that $500 draft just got filled. So let's move over there. And we are pick 3. So I'm actually going to be doing that $25 draft and this $500 one kind of at the same time. It's going to be a really cool dynamic because since I'm at pick 2 in the Best Ball Mania $25 buy-in and I'm 1 round ahead, I will actually be able to get ready and practice on the other screen and kind of be able to see into the future for this $500 draft. Obviously, it's not going to be 1-for-1 the same, but it should help us a considerable amount. So I am excited about this. But thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming to hang out with us. Of course, Josh says he enjoyed the wide receiver tier video. Well, thank you, my friend. Let's see what these teams do right ahead of us. Like I said, we took Bijan in the last draft. I'll take Bijan again if he makes it to us at 3. If he doesn't make it to us at 3, I may end up going ahead and taking maybe Lamb. I'm going to take Lamb over Jefferson. Just in case you hadn't had a chance to see, I put out our recent wide receiver rankings on the channel. And while, yes, I make my rankings for redraft leagues and not Underdog Best Ball leagues, They are very, very similar. Gibbs goes at 2, so this is going to allow us to take Bijan at 3. And there's a massive, massive trend of people ranking Jahmyr Gibbs as their running back 1 overall right now. But again, just in case you don't know how I draft so many teams and manage them, these are best ball drafts, no time commitment at all during the season. That's how I do so many of these drafts and still manage to submit my starting lineup, manage to make trades, make waiver wire moves in my regular redraft league through the season, because there's no time commitment with these at all. And that's also how I won a decent amount of money back in the day on Underdog. But if you wanted to get in a draft with us, we're going to be doing those flock tournaments on Underdog until the season starts. There are a bunch of $3, $5 drafts, ton of fun in these. In my opinion, it's the most fun thing you can do without entering in 100 real actual redraft leagues and then have your life be a living hell when you're in week 8. But if you wanted to get in an Underdog draft, I always do leave the link in the description and comment section where it says draft with us here. And if you use promo code FLOCK, you will get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. And on top of that, you will get all of our 2025 fantasy football rankings and draft guide cheat sheets. It will get sent to the email address that you signed up to Underdog Fantasy with and made a $10 deposit as long as you made that account and made that $10 deposit in 2025. Now, if you wanted to take advantage of that, you do need to be in one of these states. These are the states where Underdog is available. Good news for you, though. They're available in pretty much every state. Now, let's move this back over. I apologize. And let's see what we're going to get on the way back around after taking Bijan Robinson. We are going to need at least one wide receiver here at the 2-3 turn. Tyreek Hill goes at pick 20. I would have been stressing if we had to consider taking Tyreek with all the noise coming out of Miami at this point. Bucky, Chase Brown, T. Higgins. I think T. Higgins is similar to some of the wide receivers that we're going to see later on. I will take Bucky Irving. You had a positive report coming out about Bucky. I want to say it was today or yesterday, where they view him as a running back where you can give him a 3-down workload and especially feature him as a receiver. So I'm fine taking him here. Y'all know that I'm in love with Chase Brown as well, but also Chase Brown, there were a lot of $500 drafts done in this tournament where he was a 3rd-round pick, where he was a mid-3rd-round pick as well. Here, Bucky Irving's been around 2 selection pretty much all offseason. Python says he has a flock draft going on an Underdog. Happy to hear that, my friend. Josh Jacobs off the board. Let's see. What does this team here do at 2? I mean, we have 3 teams that all decided to go running back. They take Garrett Wilson. Like I said, when we go running back, we are locked into a wide receiver. I'm going to pass on Harrison. I'm going to pass on Devontae Adams, and I'm going to go ahead and take Jackson Smith and Jigba. With JSN, elite level prospect coming into the NFL. If we look at his age 22 season with the player comparison tool on Flock Fantasy, this is the range of outcomes tool on flockfantasy.com. We have a lot of tools on the site by now, if you can't tell. And this is also available to you if you have that 2025 season pass. You can see the closest comparable seasons to JSN since the year 2008 at 22 years old were CeeDee Lamb in 2021, Randall Cobb in 2012, Garrett Wilson in 2022, Brandon Ayuk in 2020, Percy Harvin in 2010, Chris Olave in 2022, Brandon Cooks in 2015, Amari Cooper in 2016, and Kenny Britt in 2010. And what we can see is how many of these wide receivers got better from their age 22 to their age 23 seasons. Kenny Britt jumped from 14.5 points per game up to about 20. Lamb jumped from 14.5 to 17.5. Randall Cobb jumps from 15.5 to 17.5. Percy Harvin jumps from 14.5 to 16.5. Brandon Cooks stays about the same. Chris Olave jumps. Every single wide receiver here either stayed the same or got better from their age 22 to age 23 year, except Amari Cooper and Brandon Ayuk. So JSN already much better than like Marvin Harrison Jr. this past season, and the continued trend that we should expect is he only continues to improve. Okay. Let's move. Rashee Rice goes at pick 40. And there are a couple interesting bills and a couple interesting teams in this draft. I think if we can, we are going to be looking at going with a wide receiver here at the 4-5 turn. We know we need at least one receiver at either pick 46 or pick 51. I would hope that we could get two, but we will see. Okay. Master Trog, I see your message. I will definitely take a look at that. Black Suit says massive wide receiver avalanches in the last 5 days. Here it looks like this is a very well-balanced draft so far. Okay. Rabona says, Mason, did you see the Montgomery news? I did not see the Montgomery news. Let me pull that up. DJ Moore off the board here at pick 45. I'm going to swing it. We're to take Jalen Hurts and set up a prayer that we get Devonta Smith. Now, if I don't get Smith, it's not the end of the world. Which is funny because I've spent more money on drafting Devonta Smith this year than any other player on Underdog. If we don't get Smith, though, we have to go wide receiver no matter what. Plan B would be Metcalf. Plan C would be Sutton. Plan D would be Waddle. Plan E is Travis Hunter. But in reality, we probably don't have to go down to Travis Hunter because we're up in 3 picks. Okay. Kenneth Walker off at 49. What are you giving us here? Come on. What are we going to get? It's smaller field contest too, so if we don't have Jalen Hurts stacked, not the end of the world. And yes, we do end up getting sniped on Devonta Smith, so we will instead settle for DK Metcalf. We knew we needed at least one wide receiver here at the 4-5 turn. If this was like a massive large field contest like the Puppy or Best Ball Mania, I'd be a little more concerned about not having the Jalen Hurts stack. But here at a smaller field contest like the Big Dog, honestly, it's fine. We'll roll with it. Teresa, yes, this is a $500 draft. Happy to have you with us. I'm not your friend, guys, is sitting in a flock right now. Are you in the flock tournament on Underdog, or are you in a regular redraft mock on flockfantasy.com? But yes, so I think I already showed you all this previously, but if I look at my 5 most invested into players in Underdog drafts, Devonta Smith and Jalen Hurts are both already in the top 5. And now that I take Jalen Hurts in yet another $500 draft, there's a good shot Jalen Hurts is now going to be my number 1 player in terms of dollars spent on Underdog this year. Which, again, I think Jalen Hurts is very close to Lamar and Josh Allen. Hell, let me pull up flockfantasy.com and we'll look at the player comparison here just so I can show you exactly how close these quarterbacks are and why I think that Jalen Hurts should be going closer to the elite players. So let's get up the 4 elite level quarterbacks. And we can see, yes, this past year, you did have Lamar Jackson absolutely lapping everyone. But let's look over the past 4 seasons when all these guys have been starters, minus Daniels. Daniels will just look at 2024. Let's let this load in. Come on. You'll see Jalen Hurts, 22 points per game over the past 4 years. Lamar Jackson, 21.7. Josh Allen, 23.4. Now, I'm definitely going to rank Lamar over Jalen Hurts, but I do think that they are close. So I'm going to continue to take the discount on Hurts. Okay. Lee says we're locked in. Happy to hear that. Happy to hear that, my friend. Our team says, who was your most spent last year? It was either Jordan Addison or Quentin Johnston. And Jordan Addison was, I know it's crazy to say out loud, but Jordan Addison was getting drafted as a wide receiver 4 last year. And Quentin Johnston was getting drafted as a wide receiver 7. Juwan Jennings off the board at pick 67. Obviously, Jennings dealing with the calf, but plan A for us here at the end of the 6th, the beginning of the 7th, is wide receiver. At the very minimum, I have to take I have to take 1 wide receiver. I would prefer to take 2, but we know we need at least 1. So Montgomery goes 68. Jacoby Myers goes, we'll take Ricky Pearsall. Pearsall getting the bump where he is healthy, Jennings is injured, and Brandon Ayuk is injured as well. So we'll go with Sticky Ricky. And actually, Sticky Ricky last year may have been the player I had the most dollars on. I had a ton of Sticky Ricky. Desire Best is what was the Montgomery news. Yeah, I completely forgot. Somebody said there was Montgomery news that I still don't know. Let me try to find that. Okay. Give me 1 second to find this supposed David Montgomery news. And again, I think our plan A is to go with another wide receiver here at 75. We'll see if we get that opportunity. But we have a run on wide receivers go after we take Ricky Pearsall with Stephon Diggs, Matthew Golden, and Ipuka. So David Montgomery, I guess, got banged up at camp. I don't really see anything legit. I mean, David Montgomery's fine now. But I guess David Montgomery had a little scare where people were worried that something was going to happen. I think we may go with DeAndre Swift. I prefer Swift over Caleb Johnson. I think Swift will have more targets out of the backfield. I think he's in a better offense as well. I think Caleb Johnson's the better running back. Like if Caleb Johnson was drafted to the Chicago Bears in round 2, I'd probably be taking Caleb Johnson like here at the 4-5 turn up with like Kenneth Walker. But Caleb Johnson's a Pittsburgh Steeler. And Josh says DJ Moore is the RB1 in Chicago. Yeah, just in case you didn't see, you did have DJ Moore lining up as a running back at one point in Bears practice yesterday or 2 days ago. I don't exactly remember how long ago it was, but am I stressing too much? No. Did I move DeAndre Swift down my rankings at all? No. Okay. Brian says, Mason, appreciate the content of doing an auction draft is studs and duds, the method. It just depends on your overall league settings. We put out the video 2 days ago talking about like if you're in a 1 flex league versus triple flex league, if you're in a 10-team league versus 14-team league, how you make those adjustments. If you're like a 10-team, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league, then yeah, you want to go studs and duds. Okay, we got Kadarius Toney out in the chat. Long time no see, my friend. And we got Vicente. I know I always call you Vincent, but I think I pronounce it wrong. Long time member of the flock here as well. So do you prefer Bijan over Barkley? Is it because Hurts vulturing his touchdown to the goal line? Yes, it's also the volume that you add from Barkley this past year, combined with Bijan just being a more effective receiving back. Griffith says, did my first flock community team. Good luck. I drafted some heat. Good luck, my friend. And y'all crushed me in the flock tournaments last year. Nolan says, 9 pick went on auto. Brutal. Oh my gosh, look at this team at 9. This team at 9 just donated $500. 8 rounds deep, they have 0 running backs. Thank you for the $500 donation. Thank you for paying the rake. And thank you for giving us a massive opportunity here. You are one fine sir. But, this is going to be interesting. So there'll be a couple different dynamics. Mooney goes 92. Thank God we get Cooper Kupp. So if that team here that's on auto has drafted 7 wide receivers through the first 8 rounds, and they're on auto draft, they may not stop taking wide receivers. We need to make sure that we get ours. So we'll take Cooper Kupp as our wide receiver 4 before we see just the final bottom fallout of the wide receiver position. And I have no idea what we do after this. This is such a gross range. I think I'm going to reach on Purdy. Yeah. We're going to reach on Brock Purdy here as our QB2. Stack him up with Ricky Pearsall, and maybe it's a horrible pick. I'll admit that that's a real shot. But frankly, I just don't know what else I would do. Am I that excited to go Travis Etienne? Am I that excited to draft Travis Kelce? Probably not. And then after we go Purdy, you have Goff, Kyler. So when we have Jalen Hurts and Brock Purdy, we're done drafting quarterback. Like in a $500 big dog draft on Underdog, you can definitely lean a little more quarterback heavy than you typically would. You don't need to have the same insane ceiling for the flex spot that you would in another league, but quarterback at pick 46 and quarterback at pick 99 is a lot. Now, this team here at the 9 slot does end up auto-drafting Travis Etienne, which if I was drafting that team for them, I definitely would have taken Travis Etienne there as your RB1. Kind of need it. So, honestly, ends up helping them out. Okay. Sir Alexander says, should I be scared that my rookie exposures are absurdly high? Depends when you were drafting them. If you were drafting them in May, yes, you should be terrified. Black Suit says there's some NASCAR driver whale. I wonder if that's the auto drafter. Well, that'd be interesting. And yeah, Trey Harris goes up. He auto drafts Trey Harris as his wide receiver 8. So his Trey Harris is his wide receiver 8, and his only running back's Travis Etienne. Maybe I should have taken Brandon Ayuk in the last round. All right, let's move this over. And we are done at quarterback, which sucks because you look at the best players available and they're all QB. Hopefully we see some of them go before our pick. If not, we may have just got worked. Tyler Warren goes 114. Seahawks fan says, in the draft sheet, start 9. What does it mean? Look at one size larger. So if you're in like a 10-team league where you start 9 players, what we put in the draft sheets is use the draft sheet for a 12-team start 8. If that makes sense. And then vice versa. And then it goes, scales down as well. If you're in a 14-team start 7, with all those draft sheets we made, use the 12-team start 8. Okay. FTB says, Flock, do you think ETN was the biggest bust last year? Complete disappointment. He wasn't even injured, just fell off completely. I would say probably Tyreek was the biggest bust. I think I'm going to take David Njoku here as our first tight end. If you wanted to go Tucker Kraft, I'm not going to fault you for it. Afin says, does the Jaguars official depth chart news of Travis Hunter listed as wide receiver first, DB second, hurt the stock of Brian Thomas? No, it doesn't, and I'll explain why in just one second. But let's make sure that we get our next pick in. We are cooking in that $25 BBM draft. I wish that team was this one. This one is definitely awkward. Not my favorite. We're only going to draft 5 running backs here, of course. And yeah, the Brock Purdy pick was bad. Caleb makes it this far. I can just fully admit that we should not have made the Purdy pick. Don't talk to me. I don't want to talk about it. I'm not answering questions about it. We're going to pretend that it never happened. And we're going to collectively move on. All right? That's the agreement we're all making together. We're going to pretend that that never happened. We're going to pretend it was an auto pick. I'm sorry. It probably is just as bad as the team at 9 taking only Travis Etienne at running back through the first 10 rounds. Probably just as bad with what I decided to do. I'm not even going to say what I did out loud. I just can't take Hollywood Brown instead here. I can't take Kyle Williams instead here. So That'll be it. No further questions. And please do not tell anybody what just happened. Okay. I'm not your friend, guy says, do you know if that would cause Underdog to cancel this draft? I had someone take Burrow at the 101 last week, and somebody auto drafting a team would not cancel a draft. If somebody takes like Burrow 101 and then that ruins the overall tournament integrity, yeah, I'm sure Underdog is going to refund and cancel that draft. But somebody auto drafted. People are allowed to auto draft teams. Dallas got it off the board at 131. Kadarius Tony says Judkins equals Jonathan Brooks from last year. May not be a bad call. Maybe the correct call, to be honest. And I would have loved to get Dallas Goedert on the way back at 142. Okay. Marvin Mims goes 132. And we're just going to need wide receivers, right? Let's see what this team does at 136. I would love for them to auto quarterback. Yes, they auto Justin Herbert. That's perfect. Perfect. Not for them, but for us. Because when we're sitting with Hurts and Purdy, the hope is we see a bunch of quarterbacks go off the board. So if this team like autos a fourth quarterback, it may be just exactly what we need to actually have some wide receiver tight end values fall. So we're going to end up taking 3 tight ends and a bunch of wide receivers on this team. Our wide receiver core is garbage. Our wide receiver core right now is JSN, Metcalf, Ricky Pearsall, Cooper Kupp. Okay. The General says we need 5 more people in the public mock draft for the 12-team PPR redraft on flockfantasy.com. Can some of y'all join? If anybody wants to go get in a redraft mock draft on flockfantasy.com, there are 5 spots open in that public lobby. If you don't know how to do that, go to the site, hit the mock draft section, and then here's the public lobby for the drafts. Romeo Dobbs goes, here's what a smart person would do. A smart person would go, ooh, Ray Davis, James Cook is holding out. That probably means we should take him. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go, ooh, Keenan Allen going to Los Angeles. Cool. Give me Quentin Johnston. So we'll go. Christian says, what is rake? How does it work? So when you're in underdog drafts, Underdog obviously makes money from them. They're not a charity. And how Underdog makes money is they charge a rake. So if you go into like best ball, or if you go into the big dog, I think the big dog, the rake's like 7-8%. Let me see. The rake is 7.4% in the big dog. You can see that Underdog always puts it on the right on the front page of the contest information. So that means Underdog is taking 7.4% of the draft pot in every draft. Okay, let's think. The thing is, like, look at what we are going to have at running back coming back around. Y'all know I absolutely love Trey Benson here. I've drafted a ridiculous amount of him, but we are going to be forced to take Xavier Legette because we can only draft one more running back, and we are going to get that RB in the coming rounds. So we'll go with Legette. I know, blah, blah, blah. What do you want me to do? This team over here has one running back through the first 12 rounds. They're going to be running back fallers. So I think Trey Benson is the best player on the board, but I think we're going to get other opportunities to take great RBs. Okay. Andrew says Mason also paying the rake now. Yes, officially after the Judkins selection. That's 7.4% of the league pot Underdog is taking. They are just taking that for my $500. And I said, all y'all can play for free. We'll just take Mason's $500. Okay, Roble says, do you feel like you do better in a fast or slow draft? I think you do better in fast drafts because I think in slow drafts, people are generally better. Okay, so what does the auto team do? The auto team takes Trey Benson. Great auto pick by them. I would have loved for them to auto pick Michael Penix. That would have been my dream. Let's see. Could we see them potentially auto pick another quarterback? What's the deal here? Ooh, let's give him Tua. Come on. Hopefully, one of these teams takes Pitts. Adam Thielen goes. This team is Hawkinson and Andrews, so they don't take Pitts. So this team's going to auto Kyle Pitts. Crap. God, if they would have autoed Tua, that would have been exciting. Steve says, got the wife hooked on the Flock League application video last night. I love to hear it. And the goal with, like, all jokes aside, I know I make jokes like, oh, a bunch of ladies watch this, blah, blah, blah. But in all seriousness, the hope with the Flock League channel is it's not just 99.99% males watching it like it is with the fantasy videos. Fantasy videos, I think like 98% of the audience is male. I'd hope with the Flock League videos we can get some ladies interested, but we'll see. Geno Smith goes 163. We are not taking quarterback. We are just running back, wide receiver, tight end. Matthew Stafford goes 164. Hopkins off the board. I think we'd take Brenton Strange. Let me just think about this for a second. I don't want to go freaking Brenton Strange. I honestly may go Chubb. We're going to take Nick Chubb. I know people are saying, oh, Nick Chubb has no juice, and that could very easily be true. Teresa is the queen of the live stream. I will say that. If it wasn't for Teresa, this live stream would be very concerning. Okay, so after we take Chubb, Brenton Strange, Sam Darnold both go. Hunter Henry off 169. And this team only has one quarterback with Justin Fields, so you'd assume they would try to go quarterback, but the only quarterbacks available is Rodgers. I think that's a mistake. If you're that team, you can't take Wan'Dale Robinson. You have to take Aaron Rodgers. We're going to take Isaiah Likely. Isaiah Likely, broken foot. So probably should not be drafting him, but F it. We drafted Judkins. We already lit our $500 on fire. I already committed to the bit of paying the rake. Okay. Gavin, happy to see you, my friend. The Walk says, I saw Sydney Sweeney watch the top 40 wide receiver videos. She's thinking about taking Sutton at the 3-4 turn. Oh, I will talk some sense into her real quick. Andrew says, man, this is a high risk, high reward kind of draft. I did not win the big dog tournament a couple of years ago by playing it safe. We won it by taking some shots. By taking some risk. And we'll try one more time. Hopefully. To our success, but no guarantees. This is funny. Ray Charles thinks your team is great, Mason. Well, thank you. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. Let's see. Jonnu Smith goes 173. I've been buying the dip on Jonnu like crazy. I've been drafting a ton of Jonnu Smith, which based off the rest of this draft that we've done, you can probably tell that if I've been drafting Jonnu, you should be staying far, far away. This draft is the perfect example of inverse Mason if I've ever seen one. Okay, let's pull this back. Rodgers goes 182. That team that took Wan'Dale instead of Rodgers. Rodgers is the last starting quarterback. You only have Justin Fields. Like, you just have to see the Rodgers. Like, there's no way that you can take Wan'Dale Robinson over Aaron Rodgers if Rodgers is the last starting quarterback. It doesn't matter if you have Pittsburgh players, you don't have Pittsburgh players. It doesn't matter if you love Wan'Dale Robinson. Like, I know we can all clown on my team. 100%. I'll take the clowning. I'll take the beating. I'll take the punishment. But I'll tell you, I'm definitely better than 2 teams in this draft. There's one team that they only have one starting quarterback, and it's Justin Fields. There's another team that their running back room consists of Travis Etienne, Trey Benson, Austin Eckler, and Jerome Ford. So I think that we are sitting here with the possibility of advancing this to, and even Tyler Shuck off the board at this point. Dear God. I am for sure not going to be taking Mike Gesicki after the Noah Fant signing. I'm going to take Michael Wilson and concussion protocol, yada, yada, yada. I still think he's going to be in 2 wide receiver stats for the Arizona Cardinals. Perfect example, player that makes no difference in your regular redraft league, but in a best ball draft, he can help you. Rabona King says Daniel Jones is starting. Well, he doesn't even take Daniel Jones. He takes Jackson Dart instead. I promise you want Aaron Rodgers and Calvin Austin over Jackson Dart and Wan'Dale Robinson. The other draft that we are in, we are going to take, Chig. Now we're going to take Michael Wilson. Okay, so Daniel Jones goes. Who are we taking? We need another tight end, correct? We're going to take Cade Otton, I believe. Yeah, we're going to go Cade. And then we're going to take a wide receiver in round 18. So here's the squad. All right. I may or may not have drafted it. And let me call in our judge, Simon Cowell, and he will also judge it for us. Come on, get in here. Come on. Okay. Simon Cowell is in and ready to judge. So we have at quarterback. Buckle up. We got Jalen Hurts and Brock Purdy. We have Brock Purdy stacked with Ricky Pearsall. We got Jalen Hurts, hopefully scoring some rushing touchdowns. Running back, we have Bijan, Bucky, Swift, somebody currently in prison, and Nick Chubb. Wide receiver, JSN, DK Metcalf, Ricky Pearsall, Cooper Kupp, Quentin Johnston, Xavier Legette, Michael Wilson, and then some random bum wide receiver in round 18. Tight ends, we have David Njoku, somebody with a broken foot, and Cade Otton. So, we are looking pretty. Looking pretty for sure. Mass Collector says, half your team is in jail or shot at some point. Here's the thing. We go and we hit the football field on Sunday. You're telling me the other team's not terrified? I have criminals, alleged. I have guys who survived getting shot in the chest. We got it all. So we're winning this by intimidation factor. Okay. And this team ends up autoing Woody Mark. So honestly, no. They would have taken one more running back early. That team wouldn't have been that bad. Okay, yes. Somebody in the chat says, looking like the longest yard. Yes, we are looking like the longest yard. But that other draft we're in, we're going to take a tight end. And we're going to get into another underdog draft, and then we'll do a mock draft on flockfantasy.com. But I learned something in the after the live stream last night. It is very difficult for us to give away free season passes. I think we take Roman Wilson to flockfantasy.com. I thought it'd be easy. I sent it to the devs and they went, nope, this is not easy at all. So here's what I can do, because I can easily go onto Stripe. We're going to enter in another Best Ball Mania contest. Less than 30 days till the season starts, or about 30 days till the season starts. And I got 43 of these drafts I need to do. And obviously, we're going to be doing a bunch of flock tournaments on Underdog over the next month as well. So if you have purchased a season pass on flockfantasy.com, at the end of this live stream, I'm going to ask that you drop your flockfantasy.com username. And if you win, I will refund you. I can't give away free ones, but it is easy for me to refund people and still give them access to the site. I believe so. I'll double check with the devs. I know I can refund people easily. I need to check what it does to your access to the site, but I'll tell the devs to make sure you got it. So at the end of the stream, drop your flockfantasy.com username, and I'll try to get you refunded for your season pass. Okay. LMA says, Domain Guys would never do that. Well, I reached out to Domain Guys saying, how the hell are y'all giving away free season passes? And they told me, we're telling people to buy them, and then we're refunding them. So I'm just going to say, if you've already bought it, I'll refund you. Okay, let's see what happens. And we get potentially to make good on what we did wrong in the last draft. And we get to draft at an early spot again. We get to start it with Bijan Robinson again. And hopefully we can have an okay team when it's all said and done. But Afin says, so is Brian Thomas Jr. all good with the Travis Hunter news? Here's the thing with Brian Thomas Jr. Who would you possibly move him behind? Maybe Devon Achane, Derrick Henry, but there's wide receiver rankings wise, there's no way in hell you could convince me to take Drake London ahead of him. Brian Thomas Jr. just had a better rookie season with Mac Jones playing a lot of it than Drake London's had in 3 years in the NFL. There's no way you could convince me to take A.J. Brown ahead of Brian Thomas. So I understand people being concerned about Brian Thomas with Travis Hunter, but if Travis Hunter wasn't there, Brian Thomas could potentially be going at pick 7. Brian Thomas was already discounted given the Travis Hunter news. PBR Tyler, it is Bijan Robinson, your GOAT. And let me note, PBR Tyler is a big Atlanta Falcons fan. Would you take Drake London ahead of Brian Thomas Jr. if we knew today that Travis Hunter is playing 80% of the offensive snaps? And let's move this over. And obviously, if you have not already gotten a season pass on flockfantasy.com, it's not too late. We still have the deal live. I would make a strong argument that flockfantasy.com and a membership there is the best fantasy football product you could possibly find on the market. I've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars into it. There are pretty much all the biggest creators on the site hosting their draft guides. So you get 4 different draft guides with a membership to flockfantasy.com. You get the trade finder, the trade calculator, the range of outcomes tool, the player comparison, the rankings all the way through the season. So I'd make a strong argument it's the best thing you could ever buy fantasy football related. And at the same time, it's the cheapest. It's $34 and you get access to everything until January 1st. And if you use code FLOCK, I will be answering your start sit questions and your trade questions for free during the live streams this year. So $34, flockfantasy.com. Use promo code FLOCK when you make your account if you want to get set up with all that stuff. We are going to take Trey McBride here at pick 23, and we're going to try something a little bit unique. Okay. Let's move Josh Jacobs off the board at pick 24. Tyreek Hill goes 25. I'm going to try something I don't think a lot of people are doing. We're going to go with the combo of Marvin Harrison and Trey McBride. Both these guys are pretty consistently going in the 3rd round. I think it will be a unique pairing. We can go Kyler Murray later, and we go, what if the Arizona Cardinals are a top 5 offense in the league this season? Okay. David says, is it back to $50 in 2026? So just, obviously there are no secrets here. I can just tell you all exactly what the thought process is. So whenever we decided to price the $34 season pass versus the $100 annual membership, the question is, would we sell more than triple the season passes than an annual membership if it's a third of the price? Because it's exponentially more work. It's more work the more you sell as well. Because I have to answer your start set questions and your trade questions, right? So it's going to come down to how many of y'all buy it, to be honest. And I will say, as of now, it looks like it's exceeding expectations. An insane amount of people have gotten it. So we're also going to have to see how hard it is for me to answer y'all's start set questions and trade questions during the year. Like, because everybody gets 4 free question vouchers that uses promo code FLOCK when they buy it. So we're going to see how this year goes. We're going to see, did we make money doing this? Was I able to manage it during the live stream? I think a better long-term price, especially because obviously the product will be even better in 2026 with us just continuing to invest into the site. If I had to guess, and this is just full honesty, I would guess it's, with how much success we've had early on offering it, I think it's going to be back next year. It's probably going to be a little bit more expensive because $34 is probably a little too cheap. We probably want it to still be the cheapest option on the market, so I can say that. So we'll probably do it $39 next year, but it's way too early for me to promise anything. Because it mainly is going to come down to how many people get it, how manageable is it on my end, and all the other creators on the site. And what's the dollars we spent paying all the creators, paying the devs, how many did we sell, and how were the live streams when I was answering all these free questions. So I can't, most likely it's not $34 next year. Most likely it's more expensive, but I think it's probably going to be somewhere in between the $34 and the $97 for the redraft season pass. Okay. Teresa says, if we're already a mother flocker, we don't need the season pass, right? Yeah. If you're already an annual mother flocker, you already have access to everything a season pass would get you. You just have it for 12 months instead of like the 5. And you also get a free team review every year as well. Where the season pass, we don't do the free team review just because that would 100% be, we wouldn't be able to manage it. Oh, dear God. I'm going to take Devonta Smith here. Smith is my favorite wide receiver on the board. I would love to take Jalen Hurts and then Devonta Smith, but I think it's very easy for us to set up a Kyler Murray double stack with Marvin Harrison and Trey McBride. So I don't really want to have the unstacked Jalen Hurts at this point. So we're going to go Devonta Smith. If we get Jalen Hurts on the way back, we get him. If we don't get him, we don't get him, because regardless, we're going to go Kyler. Okay. Oh, dear God, I'm going to do it anyway. F it. We're going to go with Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is an absolute smash in round 5 for the reasons we just mentioned. Hell, I even have the player comparisons still pulled up on the site. 22 points per game. Over the past 4 years, Jalen Hurts is QB2. So we're running it. Desire Best says, can I team review a Dynasty Flock League, or is there a conflict? I'd be happy to look at it for you, my friend. Okay. Travis Snow says, it's worth far more than 40. Honestly, should be about 100 plus for the year. So it is 100 for the year, especially if you get the team review. But we're doing like the $34 from August to December. And also it's worth it for us doing this year because y'all can give us a ton of valuable feedback of what y'all liked, what y'all didn't like, what we should invest more on during the off season. So because we had to get on a call, all the other creators and myself, and figure out like, hey, is this reasonable? Can we possibly do it at $34? Or is it unrealistic? Because it is a super low cost. In my thought process was I would rather sell too many of them at too low of a cost this year That way people can see what the product's really like. And if we want to raise the price next year, we can. And also it helps having a bunch of people on the site to do like the mock drafts and stuff. So my thought process was I'd rather have too many people that get it than too few. I'd rather make like 10% less offering the thing too cheaply. And we can readjust next year based off what ends up happening. Seahawks fan says, do you only say Bijan over Gibbs because you went to UT? I'll pull this up. So I think if you look at Bijan from weeks 5 onwards last year, you're looking at a running back that had 21.2 points per game, right in line with what we saw with Jahmyr Gibbs last season. And if we look at the Detroit Lions last year, they scored by far and away the most points in the NFL. Right now, sportsbooks still have them as a great offense, but they do have them regressing quite a bit to be the 6th highest scoring offense in the NFL. So it's crazy that early in the offseason, I was drafting a ton of Jahmyr Gibbs because Gibbs would even slide outside the top 6 picks. And now it seems like I'm a Gibbs hater for not having him ahead of Bijan Robinson. But I'm just keeping Gibbs where we've had him all along. I'm going to take Jerry Jeudy here because if we look at the running backs, we should be able to get a running back relatively easily on the way back at pick 74. Okay, so let's see where Ham Bunnix Jones goes. He goes Sam Laporta. So we are going to get Caleb Johnson in round 7. Which I think that this is a fine cost for Caleb, where yes, you do have the concerns with the Jalen Warren usage as a receiver. But like I said, I'd like Caleb Johnson a lot more with this round 7 cost than where he was going back. He was going back here at the beginning of May before Rodgers went to Pittsburgh. And I thought that was a super shaky projection if Mason Rudolph was going to be the starting quarterback just because the red zone opportunities are going to be lowered. Jan says, bro, Draco again. I've done many $25 drafts and I get them in often. I thought 150 was the max entry. I am in these drafts with Draco pretty much every single night. He comes out to so many of these streams to get into drafts with us. And he never types in the chat either. So what that tells me is he probably isn't a fan of the stream. He probably just has realized, hell, I'm a lot smarter than this Mason guy. And it's probably pretty easy to hop in his drafts and just take his free money. Okay. Teresa says, this is a good team, Mason. Too bad it's not in the 500. That 500 team. Here's the thing. I think my $500 draft was bad, but I think 2 of the people that we drafted with, their $500 drafts were horrible. So I think we actually have a shot to advance it. Obviously, we need Judkins to play this season. That's not a guarantee whatsoever, but we'll see. Okay. Yeah, Finney says Draco B is his alt account. Ben says you should do a video where there's somewhere for Flock members to put takes and give your opinion on them. And so you're saying like, that's kind of what these live streams are, where y'all come, or also the comment section. I know a lot of YouTubers don't read the comment section, but so y'all can tell I respond to most of y'all's comments and I read all of them. So I hear your takes. I think some of them are valid. It's going to sound very much like an ass thing for me to say, and it is an ass thing for me to say, but I think a lot of them are not valid. I think a lot of them are just homer takes. Like I'll see somebody screaming at me that like, oh, so DJ Moore needs to be way higher, and his photo's a picture of, I don't know, the Bears, like a Chicago Bear logo. That's like 99. That's not 99, but that's a high percentage of the comments. But Baker Mayfield off at 89. Braden says, are you doing a Flock draft after this? Yes, we're going to do a draft on flockfantasy.com after this. And then we will do a giveaway where if you've purchased the season pass on flockfantasy.com, I will ask you to spam your flockfantasy.com username in the chat, and we'll do the thing where I look away, scroll up and down, and randomly click one. And whichever one we click, I'll get it refunded. So you'll essentially get a free season pass for the year. Last night we did it where we give away the free season pass if you haven't bought one already. But after sending that username to the devs this morning, I realized that that's not really something we can do. But I can refund people. So we're going to take Kyler Murray as we were already planning on. And then we will just go running back, wide receiver, tight end through the rest of this draft. Somebody I've taken a lot of, which is kind of embarrassing because every smart person in the world says like, oh, you can't take this dude, blah, blah, blah. I've been taking a lot of Cooper Kupp. So we'll take Kupp here in the 9th. Okay, we got someone saying there's an Eagles trade. Let me pull this up. What is the Eagles trade? So nice for us to see the quarterbacks go right after. Okay, so a couple defensive players. I would not be able to tell you anything about that. Eden says, will you be posting dynasty rankings? I just updated my dynasty rankings on the site. If you don't know how to see them, hit dynasty, superflex, or one quarterback, whatever you play in. Then you can go ahead, sort by Mason Dodd, and you can see my rankings. Now let's move this over. Nice for us to see Drake May off the board. Fuji Apple says Cooper Kupp may not be what he once was, but he's still got gas in the tank. His skill set is very sustainable. Yeah, Kupp has back-to-back seasons being a top 24 wide receiver. Let me pull this up. So I have Kupp ranked wide receiver 50, but I still draft a lot of them because I think it's like a teardrop. And yes, 2021, 2022, he was the wide receiver 1 in points per game both seasons. But over the past 2 years, he's still been a top 24 receiver. He's never not been a top 24 wide receiver in the NFL. Okay, Loveland goes 113. And if Caleb is falling due to like the people clowning on him in camp, I will scoop Caleb at a discount, but we're not going to be able to in this draft. Jordan Love goes 117. Good for us. I can't take another quarterback. David Njoku goes 118. I think we will take Evan Ingram here. We'll call it a day at tight end after we make the Evan Ingram pick. We know Ingram's not making it back to us because the team here at 1 has Bo Nix. Which I think this team of 1's actually in this stream, so I apologize for the snipe. Spicy Hot, always happy to see it. Says, Dylan always wants a freebie. I respect it so much. Dylan be begging, I'll tell you that much. Okay, Justin Herbert goes 121. I think we go... Ooh, this is tough. We go Spears. Spears went ahead of Judkins in the last draft, so we got stuck taking Judkins here. But we're going to take Spears 122. Dylan, this is why I can't give you freebies. Once you start going in the chat like saying, oh, my parents don't want me to have a membership on flockfantasy.com. It's tough. It's a tough look. It's a tough look for you. It's a tough look for your boy. It's a tough look for all of us. I don't think there's anybody else. Here's my guess. If there are 1,000 people watching this, Dylan, there's probably one other person other than you that's not 18 years old, at least. I think the majority of people looking at YouTube are in their like 30s. But I'd imagine there are like 10 people that are probably in high school watching this. However, you're the only person that I ever see in the chat talking about their parents. I don't know why. But let's move this over. Bigsby goes 133. Javante goes 134. Ferd is 3. So sorry, I didn't realize that one. Dylan is a family man. Dylan is a family man. Okay, I'm sorry. That was... I read VP's comment. VP says, Dylan, bro, it's time to become financially independent. Go find homes. I give him $2 and have him buy you and him a lottery ticket. Don't do that, Dylan. Frank, that's pretty funny too. Frank says, I was the baby conceived in 1994. God, y'all are hilarious. I'm crying here. Let's move this down. Romeo Dobbs goes, y'all know I'm not a big Kyle Williams guy, but at the end of the day, we only have 4 receivers. We'll take Kyle Williams. Our 4 receivers are Harrison, Devonta Smith, Judy, Kupp, Kyle Williams. I mean, we're kind of sitting here with bums. Najee Harris goes 144. Rachaad White's just so much better than Joshua Palmer. Palmer is 1 year in his NFL career scoring 100 fantasy points. How the hell am I going to take him over Rachaad White? We'll take White. I know Jaden Blue has been getting all the steam coming out of Dallas. Eden says your wide receivers have the same buys. Harrison, here's me off the dome. Let's see if I can remember these bye weeks. Marvin Harrison, week 12. Devonta Smith, week 9. Jerry Jeudy, week 9. I'm sorry. Harrison, week 8. Devonta Smith, week 9. Jerry Jeudy, week 9. Cooper Kupp, week 8. Kyle Williams, I want to say week 14, but the Pats had a bye in week 14 last year, right? So is Kyle Williams' bye week a little different? No, it's week 14 this year. So, yeah, I'm not concerned at all about those bye weeks. Like, all 5 receivers had the same bye, then sure. Raphael says, Mason, how much exposure do you have to Kyle Pitts? Let me pull this up. Jaden Blue does end up going at 151. Drafts completed, exposure. Let's look up Falcons. I have Kyle Pitts in 8.2% of our drafts. So I'm right in line with the market on Kyle Pitts. I am slightly overweight Bijan. And then London, Penix, Pitts, I have all at 8%. I'm slightly underweight Tyler Algier, and I have Darnell Mooney at 6.9%. So slightly underweight Darnell Mooney as well. Okay, Deonta Thornton goes 161. We can only take one more running back. Actually, I don't know. If we wait to grab 2 running backs at the very end, I guess we could take more. But this is a team that we need a ton of receivers. It's going to be a 9 wide receiver team. Preferably. The very minimum, we're taking 8. And we have Trey McBride, Evan Ingram at tight end. We have Jalen Hurts and Kyler Murray at quarterback. So, Yeah, there's no way we can go with another quarterback or tight end at this point. Okay, Mason Taylor goes. We have Chubb, Eckler both in play. We could go Jack Besh. We'll go Jack Besh. Round 2 NFL draft capital. Flat tier at running back. We can get either Chubb or Eckler. I don't expect this team at the one hold to take both. Chubb goes. We'll take Austin Eckler, pick 170. I know we got the rookie running back in Washington getting a considerable amount of hype at this point, but I think Eckler's role as the receiving back is okay. Okay. All right, let's move this over. So now running back, we have Bijan, Caleb Johnson, Tajay Spears, Rashad White, Austin Eckler. We're done drafting running backs. Quarterback, we have Jalen Hurts stacked with Devonta Smith. I have Kyler Murray double stacked with Harrison and Trey McBride. And then wide receiver, we have Marvin Harrison, Devonta Smith, Jerry Jeudy, Cooper Kupp, Kyle Williams, Jack Besh. Tight end, we're sitting with the combo of Trey McBride and Evan Ingram. Okay. Frank says, bye weeks are important because if you have a full team with the same bye, you're losing basically 150 points on average. Do you think we have everybody on the same bye on this team? If I tried to draft a team with everybody on the same bye, it would be impossible. I would not be able to do that. So I agree. Hypothetically, if you did draft everybody with the week 8 bye, week 8, if you took a 0 in your starting lineup, you would lose 150 points compared to the rest of the league. But let's look at these bye weeks. Jalen Hurts week 9, Kyler Murray week 8. Bijan, Caleb, both week 5, but then we have Spears week 10, Rashad White week 9, Austin. Like bye week, I've drafted teams with way worse stacked bye weeks than this. Trey McBride, Evan Ingram, 2 separate buys. Like, what are we talking about here, my friend? Vinny, this is true. So don't shortchange yourself, Mason. We all watched your $500 draft. Know you can do incredibly bad things. That is true. Okay, Chick goes 186. Taj Brooks got the rookie hype pushing these guys up. All right, and we are probably at this point only wide receiver. If I was dumb enough to convince myself to, I would potentially take a 6 running back at the very end of this draft, but more likely than not, we are just going wide receiver. Wide receiver, Michael Wilson will be the auto pick for me here. I still think it's going to be in 2 wide receiver sets, which is valuable in best ball. We have the Arizona Cardinals onslaught with Marvin Harrison and Trey McBride. So we will take Michael Wilson. Jalen Wills goes 192. Not a big Dimey Brown guy. I think Travis Hunter is going to be involved as a receiver. Jalen Knoll, I don't see the path for us to get just another rookie wide receiver on this team. I'm going to take Yoshi Vosh. I think some people would like it for the week 17 bring back you have with Arizona. This is the correct take, in my opinion. Nerd Space Games, which I appreciated your submission for the Flock League, my friend. I'm sorry that I was not able to get you in, but I really did like watching it. Says bye weeks really only matter in the eliminator. I feel like 100%. When I'm drafting in the eliminator, I'm watching my buys for sure. Well, that's about it. But let me queue up some wide receivers here to make sure we get a 9th. And then we will go ahead and get into a regular redraft mock draft. All right. Let's go to flockfantasy.com. I will say, I did a mock on Yahoo today for a video, and now I'm very, very happy we built this out. That was absolutely miserable. Okay, so let's pull this over. And if you're ever interested, you can always do free public mock draft lobbies on flockfantasy.com. They're not nearly as fun as Underdog, but I needed to get some practice in for the Flock League draft, which is happening in less than 2 weeks. So I need to make sure that we are practicing our quarterback and our tight end draft strategy. So we will get in here and we will be drafting from the 9 hole. Nerd Space Game says everyone in that Flock video is way better than me. Yeah, there were a lot of really good ones that I wanted to get in. But yeah, the people that we got in, theirs were very good as well. I think next year, if we do it again, like now that people have like kind of seen what the bar is, we'll get like even better submissions for next year. Fluffishes says, in weekly, is it smart to double up on buys? Yes, if you can. And just essentially say like, I'm fine punting week 8 or whatever it may be. Okay. Bijan Robinson off the board, 103. Gibbs, 104. Let's see. I think we've had, let me see what number draft this is too. This is almost draft number 36,000, which is wild. Yeah, why are we picking on Frank in the chat? What the hell did Frank do? Raphael, do we need to? I don't see what Frank did. Okay, let's have the chat be judge on if Raphael needs to get his. Okay, real quick. My rankings, I do have CMC as the best player, but we just got out of Brian Thomas. So, sorry, I was looking at the chat. So let's see what happened here. Let's go through and let's look at Raphael's versus Frank's messages. Raphael says, bye weeks are important because if you have full team, basically losing 150 points. I said, no, you're wrong. Raphael says, ... Frank says, Raphael, your mother's making me a sandwich right now. Raphael says, what sandwich? Then Raphael comes through and starts being very aggressive. Okay, here we are on the clock. I think I freaking hate this spot. We're gonna take Bowers. I'm not taking the receiver over Bowers in a redraft league. Teresa says, Raphael called Frank's mom a hoe. Then Frank said, she's making me a sandwich. In my opinion, that sounds like Raphael should be the one getting timed out, not Frank. Sounds like Frank should be fine. Okay. BP says Frank brought the mom into it. I don't see that. I see Raphael doing that. But Raphael, you're on thin ice, pal. You better not have muted Frank forever. You better just put him in timeout. And even that may not have been the move. Okay. Raphael says Frank is free. All right. You're on thin ice, pal. Thin ice. But here's where we're on thin ice. Every single time I get suckered into taking Brock Bowers at this pick, and every single time I hate my team because of it. So with the way we determine draft order, I'm going to have to do anything that I can to make it where I'm not selecting at pick 7, 8, 9. 7, 8, 9 would just be the absolute worst. Give me pick 6. Give me pick 5. Give me pick 4. Give me pick 11. Give me pick 12. But pick 9, this is where it absolutely sucks. Nerd Space Game says taking Bowers in round 2 always makes me hate my team for a reason. So what's interesting is I did that mock draft in like Yahoo today, and I found that like people who I guess aren't really tuned in to fantasy football stuff, we ended up seeing like a bunch of these like Laporta went in round like 5. Hawkinson went in round like 6. Evan Ingram was going in round 7. And if that's where like the mid tight ends go, like they're going in rounds 5, 6, 7, Brock Bowers in round 2, chef's kiss. It's amazing. The issue is with the drafts on flockfantasy.com, it does seem like everybody's a little more in tune. Where you are going to see the tight ends fall a considerable amount. And it's going to be harder to find wide receiver values in those ranges. So I have Kyron Williams as my highest ranked player. So we're going to take Kyron at the 309. The expert average has Wilson, Brees, Daniels, Kittle after this. I'm actually probably going to need to flip Brees and James Cook in my rankings, just with the small percentage chance that something does end up happening with James Cook in Buffalo. Okay, Garrett Wilson goes 310. Garrett Wilson goes 311. Okay, great for us to get Kittle here. I'd have been really upset if Kittle would have been available to us at the 404 with our decision to take Bowers. Jalen Hurts off the board. Okay, let's just think. What are we going to have available to us later? 509. We're kind of be looking at these receivers. James Cook will be the running back. So F it. I'm going to reach. I'm going to take James Cook. James Cook in the middle of the 4th round in a redraft league. I like the value. Again, we just put Brees ahead of him in our rankings. But we're running with it. Matt says not really a reach, to be honest. I think most people here, at least on the site, have Kamara ahead of James Cook. Can y'all please spam the chat? Who would you rather have this year? Would you rather have James Cook or Alvin Kamara? James Cook or Kamara. Ben says, Mason, do you expect a Rice suspension news by typical redraft draft dates? I would hope that we get to hear about Rice soon. So we got Kamara, Cook, Kamara, Cook, 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 Kamara, Cook, 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 Kamara, Cook, 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 Kamara, Kamara, Cook. Looks like most people are on James Cook. Let me see what the rankings are on the site, because the expert average has Kamara ahead of James Cook. Has me kind of on an island there. Let me add all the creators and then look at these guys. Okay. Running back, sort by expert average. So, expert average ranks have Alvin Kamara at 39 overall, James Cook at 46 overall. I have James Cook ahead of Kamara. Nathan has Kamara at pick 29, James Cook 51. Corey has Cook ahead of him. Danny has Cook ahead of him. Avery has Kamara at pick 29, Cook at 55. And Zach has James Cook slightly ahead of Kamara. So it looks like the FSE guys are way higher on Cook, way lower on Kamara, and the domain guys are way higher on Kamara, way lower on Cook. Okay, so, but once we go James Cook, we are hoping that we get some of these wide receivers making it back. And at this point, oof. That may not be happening. Travis Hunter goes to the 507. Ben says, I took Mason to win the Flock League at plus 450 odds. It's actually incredible that you got that. I checked the lines this morning, and I was currently the betting favorite at minus 800. So, the fact that you locked in plus money? Crazy. Jameson goes, God dang. Expert average has it as Rome. I have it as Ridley. The thing is, if looking at the ADP and the way this is situated, there's a chance that we end up getting Ridley on the way back. Sir Alexander says, Mason, I'm not going to lie. I'm picking the fan to win it this year. I do think it'll be super interesting to have a fan in the league. Because, like, I'm really wanting to know, like, what the comment section ends up rooting for. Because what was really funny last year is it would be essentially whoever was winning is whoever the comment section started rooting on. Like, as an example, Danny being loud and obnoxious, everybody in the comment section was saying, like, when Danny was losing, oh, this Danny guy sucks. Blah, blah, blah. The second that Danny started to win, everybody in the comment section started going, oh my gosh, this Danny guy's awesome. He's actually turning the corner for me. So looking at what we're going to get later on, we're going to have this massive tier at wide receiver if we're looking at my rankings. I have DeAndre Swift ahead of Caleb Johnson, so I'm going to run with that. We'll take Swift at the 604. So now, wide receiver, we have Brian Thomas, Romadunze, running back, Kyron, James Cook, DeAndre Swift, and we have the elite tight end with Brock Bowers. Ben says, Mason, are you worried about Brees potentially being in a committee? Yes, I am. Like, y'all know we were drafting a ridiculous amount of Brees in the 4th round of underdog drafts early this offseason, but I have cooled on that, to be honest. Like, at one point, Brees was top 5 in my exposures, but then he flipped to round 3 and goes ahead of Kyron in a lot of these. So even though he was top 5 at one point for me, he is now down to 9.0% in terms of my exposures currently. Joe Mixon goes to the 609. So I see a bunch of people complaining about the ESPN app update. I don't play on ESPN, but if y'all play on ESPN Fantasy, what's your opinion of the app update? I'm trying to find screenshots of it right now. But I have not played on ESPN in a long time. Elijah says ESPN rankings are so incredibly bad. So I have like all the draft sheets posted on the site based on all the platforms, right? Like ESPN, Yahoo, Sleeper, looking at all their ADP. And to be honest with you, and then also I have the like master ADP sheet as well on the site. And to be honest with you, looking at the consensus ADP, I think that ESPN's ADP is a lot better than Sleeper's and Yahoo's, which I was expecting Sleeper to have the best ADP out of Yahoo and ESPN, but like Sleeper's ADP is worse. So I have Deebo Samuel highest in my rankings here at the 709. I think we're going to take Deebo here, and I think we're going to get another receiver at the 804. But I think the ESPN ADP is good. In terms, like, I think it's bad compared to Underdog if you're looking at, like, just inside the positions. Obviously, I think the expert average ranks on the site are better, but I think that's a little unfair. We can update ours a lot quicker than ESPN can update their ADP. But if you're going to clown on an app for having garbage ADP, I think you'd clown on Sleeper. Yeah, Ben Fine says actually ESPN rankings are solid this year. Yeah, like I think the ESPN ADP is fine. It's definitely like the reason I made the consensus ADP is I think it's a lot better if you include Underdog, Sleeper, Yahoo, and average it all out. But like if I was going to complain about a platform's ADP, it wouldn't be ESPN. Ben says Sleeper's a good app, though. I'm not saying that Sleeper's a bad app. I'm not saying that ESPN's a better app than Sleeper. I'm saying if you're specifically looking at the in-app ADP. Master Truck says, bro, I didn't know ESPN updated UI. It sucks. That's what I've seen a lot of people saying it sucks, but I've never used it, so I really can't say. Mahomes is the highest player according to the expert average ranks. He's the highest player in my rankings as well. We're going to take him. Thing that sucks here is like, I want to take Shakir to get our fourth wide receiver, but with the high ankle sprain, it's just hard for me to justify taking the wide receiver 47 over Patrick Mahomes. So we'll take Mahomes to the 804. Rule says, all I know is Chase Brown's ADP is not 35. Yeah. So like, I mean, which is again, why we have like the draft sheets on the site. So like if you go and you look at like, say you're drafting on a ESPN league, right? And you go and look at this ESPN sheet. Let me open up the sheet so you can see it fully. You'll see that we average out like whatever the ADP on the platform is with the consensus ADP as well as our rankings. That way you just get a much better view of like where these guys should actually be valued. So ESPN has Chase Brown going at the end of the third. And I have Chase Brown ranked as a mid-round 2 pick. The master ADP has Chase Brown going at the beginning of the third. So we average it out, say Chase Brown, you should be looking to take him at the 2-3 turn. Nerd Space Games, I appreciate it. Says, to be honest, you should never be looking at the app's ADP, Flock Fantasy for the win. The reason we consider the app ADP in our draft sheets, though, is your league mates are going to be looking at the ADP. So while I definitely think like the expert average ranks are better than the ADP on whatever platform you're drafting on, Like the example that's very easy to pick on is like Josh Downs has an ADP of like 120 or something on some of these apps. And if you look at Josh Downs on the expert average rank, he's like 80 on our site. But I don't want you taking Josh Downs at 80. I'd rather you take Josh Downs halfway, take him at 100. That way you can still get strong values and you're not having to reach 4 rounds compared to where your league mates would. Okay. Tucker Kraft off. We're going to go ahead and we're going to take Jordan Mason, right? He's my highest ranked player. He's the highest ranked running back in the expert average. And it looks like he should be split in the backfield with Aaron Jones from the jump. And at the same time, you get the contingent upside. If anything were to occur to Aaron Jones, he could be a league winner. Nebelig says, anybody know how to find the Google Sheets? So a couple different things, how you could get them. We said this at the beginning of the live stream where we are drafting on Underdog. If you use promo code FLOCK on Underdog and make a $10 deposit, the draft sheets will get sent to the email address that you signed up to Underdog Fantasy with. Or you could get the $34 season pass on flockfantasy.com. Then you get everything on the site from now until January 1st. It's not $34 a month. It's $34 one time and you never pay anything again. Plus, if you use promo code FLOCK, I'll answer start set questions and trade questions for you as well. And I think every night in the live stream, we're going to be refunding somebody who used promo code FLOCK on Underdog. I'm not on Underdog, on flockfantasy.com. There's a chance it ends up being free for you. But just stay to the end of the live stream for that refund giveaway. Okay. Caleb, Evan Ingram both go. I'm going to have to take Jaden Higgins. Even if I have Jalen Warren ranked higher, we're only sitting with Brian Thomas, Rome Odunze, Deebo Samuel at wide receiver. We need another receiver. So now we have Kyron, James Cook, DeAndre Swift, Jordan Mason at running back. We have the elite tight end with Bowers, respectable quarterback with Mahomes, and wide receiver Brian Thomas, Rome Odunze, Deebo Samuel, Jaden Higgins. If this was my team for the Flock League, I am not going to sit here and say it's garbage, but I wouldn't be excited about it. Like if I had to guess what the league analyzer is going to give us at the end of this, I would guess that we're probably going to be 6 or 7. I don't think we're going to be dead last like we were last night, but at the same time, I don't think it's going to be telling us that we had a great draft. Ben says, why consider Underdog ADP if it's not redraft? Because realistically, I would say this even if I wasn't sponsored by Underdog, Underdog has the most accurate ADP and it's not even remotely close. When it comes to valuing like quarterback versus running back versus wide receiver versus tight end, when it comes to valuing the positions next to each other, it's not great, which is why we include the regular redraft platforms. But if you're just looking at like wide receiver ADP, Underdog is going to be the most accurate. Why is everybody saying 6, 7? What are y'all talking about? Can someone let me know what 6, 7 means? Detox says, when can we expect Canadians to be able to use Flock Fantasy or Underdog? I promise you can go on flockfantasy.com on Canada. We have Canadian creators on the site. I have Goff and Ramadre as my 2 highest. The expert average has Goff, but I think we're going to get a quarterback on the way back if we want one. So we're going to take Ramadre. I mean, teams after us have Jalen Hurts and Jaden Daniels, so I'm not expecting a bunch of quarterbacks to go off. Okay, it's a meme from a song. 6, 7 song. Okay. I didn't know if I said something weird and y'all were... Oh. Frank says Mason needs some hood friends. I am the hood friend. What are you talking about? So Rashad White off the board at the 11-10. Dylan Sampson goes at the 11-11. So the thing is, in these drafts, I need to be taking one more wide receiver early. Like I've been trying to adjust from Underdog and not valuing wide receiver as much. But I need to be getting one more wide receiver early. Okay, Jaden Blue goes off the board 1201. Najee Harris goes 1202. Quentin Johnson goes 1203. We'll take Jared Goff as our second quarterback. I think when you wait till round 8 to take Mahomes, you can afford to take Goff. I'm probably starting Mahomes most weeks, but if Mahomes has a garbage matchup, then we can go ahead and we can take Goff in that instance. Start Goff in that instance. Okay, Justin Herbert goes 1206. I feel like we live streamed. We usually live stream later than this, no? Let's move this down. Ray Davis, Austin Eckler, Tyler Algier, Jerome Ford. I would love a wide receiver here at the end. The issue is, like, when you're looking at the end of these drafts, I prefer to take these players that I know if I can cut them after week 1, after we see their role. Like, if I see Joe Mixon healthy week 1, I'll cut Nick Chubb immediately. If I see Breece Hall dominate the snaps in the backfield for the Jets, I'll cut Braylon Allen immediately. We're going to take Leggett here. We need another receiver. I don't think Leggett fits that mold. Leggett's not going to be an easy cut. Like, what information are we going to get week 1 that tells us we can cut Xavier Leggett? I guess maybe if Jalen Coker plays ahead of him. But he's definitely more of like a best ball pick than he would be like a regular redraft pick. What other wide receivers are there? Go like Mims, Romeo Dobbs, Pat Bryant, Michael Wilson. Go like Keenan Allen and say, like, what happens if he signs to a spot we like? But realistically, I probably just go ahead and I probably just take Braylon Allen here. For the reason, Breece Hall, I'm definitely not hoping this happens. But if you're having a draft right now, there's what? A 1% chance Breece Hall tears an ACL before the season gets here, and then Braylon Allen turns into a league winner. Whereas if I take wide receiver X, what happens from now until the start of the season where he turns into a league winner? So we'll see what the league analyzer says about this team. The issue with our team is it's going to tell us that we have the worst wide receiver room. I'd be surprised if there's a team in this draft with a worse wide receiver room than us. Maybe team 3, where they go Bijan Taylor out the gate. But I guess actually team 11 should be worse at wide receiver. Possibly. But we're going to have like a bottom 3 wide receiver room. We'll be okay at quarterback, great at tight ends, and good at running back. And God damn, I got cooked. This happens every single time I take Bowers. I need to just stop taking Bowers. It's the expert average ranks. Using my ranks, I'm still low as hell. I'm at 8. Best tight end room in the league with Bowers. 9th in wide receiver, 4th at running back, 5th at quarterback. I mean, this is pretty much what we predicted. Yeah, I think it all hinges on us taking Bowers there. Do we just take A.J. Brown instead? Like, if I go A.J. Brown instead, what tight end do I take here in the middle rounds? I guess I could go, like, instead of having Jordan Mason and Brock Bowers, it's probably better to have A.J. Brown and Mark Andrews. That's where we probably mess up. Mark Andrews in round 9 is a better value. So we're going to fix that. So here's what I'm going to do now. Let's give away a 2025 season pass refund. So If you have purchased a 2025 season pass on flockfantasy.com and you used promo code FLOCK, spam the chat right now. We're bringing up the chat over here. What is your flockfantasy.com username? Then I'm going to look away. I'm going to scroll up and down the chat real quick. I'm going to click on somebody. And then if we click on you, you'll get your $34 refunded. I want to just give away free season passes straight up. It's what we tried doing in the live stream last night. But the issue with that was I sent the name over to the dev. And they said, yeah, we guess technically we can try to find a way to do this, but it's going to be very hard. So should be easier if I just give you all a refund if you already bought one. So spam the username. I'm going to give you all 10 seconds and then we'll pick somebody random to give a free. Effectively get it for free. I know you already bought it, but you'll get your $34 back on your card. Okay. Scrolling up and down, scrolling up and down. Okay, let's click one. It's clicked, right? Okay. Thomas Lowe. Tom 1K. Okay. I will get you hooked up. Let me send that over to a dev. And we will get you that $34 back. What I'm gonna actually, I just didn't want y'all submitting email addresses. I can look y'all up on Stripe myself and give refunds myself if I have your email address. I don't know how to do it with your username though, so I'm gonna have to send it to the dev team. But we'll get that done soon. But thank you for being a member of the flock already, my friend, and thank you for hanging out in the live stream. But I think that's all I got for y'all in this stream. Little bit of an early one, but I got to answer some questions on the site, so I apologize for that. And let me think if there's anything else. No, we're going to do flock tournaments on Underdog tomorrow. Be super happy if you join those with us. Obviously, we're going to keep on doing some of these mock drafts on flockfantasy.com every night. Love for you to hop in a mock with us as well. But I think that's all I got for y'all. I really appreciate y'all and really hope we get to see you out in the live stream. What? Tomorrow night? Probably around. Ooh, no, wait. Tomorrow's Tuesday. Sal and I are doing like a volleyball league. And is it Wednesday or Tuesday, the game? It's Wednesday. Okay. Never mind. Wednesday's going to be an early live stream because we have a game that night. But tomorrow should be good. But appreciate it all, ladies and gentlemen. And hope I get to see you out with the live stream tomorrow night.